My fiance said, "My friends think you're boring because you're too nice. I need to date a bad boy before I settle for you." I said, "Sure." Then I canceled everything and started packing her stuff. When she realized what I'd done, she lost her mind. Sup Reddit. My fiance thought I was too predictable. Said she wanted to explore other options and date a bad boy before our wedding. So I let her go on her play date while quietly dismantling everything between us. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the shit show. I, 29 male, proposed to Valerie after 3.5 years together. Just took her to Riverside Park on a Saturday afternoon in September. Got down on one knee near the fountain. Did the whole traditional thing. She cried, said yes, called her mom before we even got back to the car. We set the wedding date for June 21st. 9 months out. I'm a commercial electrician pulling $62,000 a year. I wire buildings, fix power systems, occasionally get shocked when some idiot doesn't label breakers correctly. Drive a 2018 Ford F-150 with 52,000 miles. Own a 3-bedroom ranch house with a mortgage payment of $1,975 monthly. The house needed work when I bought it, but it was good enough. I can fix most things myself, which saves money and keeps me busy. Valerie worked as a graphic designer making $51,000 annually at some mid-sized marketing firm downtown. Made logos, designed websites, spent 8 hours a day staring at Adobe programs while drinking overpriced coffee. We split everything 50-50. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, the streaming services we never watched. Had a shared spreadsheet for tracking expenses because neither of us wanted to argue about who paid for what. Our life was predictable but stable. Friday nights meant takeout and whatever was new on Netflix. Saturdays, I'd work on house projects while she ran errands or met up with old friends. Sundays, we'd meal prep for the week, usually chicken and rice variations that lasted until Thursday. It wasn't exciting, but it worked. Then Valerie got recruited to some boutique design agency called Pixel. Not a company, a collective. That's what they called themselves. A collective of creative minds pushing boundaries and disrupting the visual landscape. Valerie came home after her first day buzzing. "The energy there is different," she said, unpacking her bag. "Everyone's so ambitious, so driven." "That's good. You like the work?" "I like the people." Jade drives a Tesla. The creative director just bought a loft in the arts district. "Cool. It's inspiring. Everyone there is living their best life, you know?" I didn't know, but I nodded. By day 3, she was staying an extra hour after work. By week 2, she downloaded Instagram on her work computer. Week 3, she mentioned the team did Thursday happy hours at some place with $14 smoothies. I asked if she was going. She said obviously it was networking. I asked how much networking cost. She didn't think that was funny. The graphic designers there weren't like her old coworkers who packed leftovers and complained about client revisions. These women wore designer everything, drove luxury cars on designer salaries, posted Instagram stories from brunch spots where specialty coffees cost $18. Their feeds looked like advertisements for lives they couldn't actually afford. Their names were Jade, Amber, and Chloe. Jade was 31, engaged twice in 6 years without making it to any altar. Amber was 29, married and divorced in 20 months. Chloe was 25, perpetually single, perpetually dramatic. They took constant photos with captions like "boss babes who design dreams." Real deep stuff. These were Valerie's new role models. These were the voices that started replacing mine in her head. Should have trusted my gut earlier. But 3 years together made me think we had something solid. Thought our shared mortgage and joint savings account mattered more than Instagram likes and validation from people you met 2 weeks ago. I was wrong about that. Valerie started coming home with opinions about 3 weeks into the new job. We'd be eating dinner, something I'd grilled, and she'd just dropped these comments into normal conversation like hand grenades disguised as suggestions. Started small. She mentioned Jade wore this amazing athleisure brand, and we should join the gym she went to. $80 monthly per person instead of the 24-hour place we used for 15 each. Then Amber had this incredible skincare routine that only cost $350 a month but made such a difference. Then Chloe showed her this podcast about manifesting abundance, and we needed to think bigger about our lives, about what we deserved. I nodded through most of it, figured it was new job excitement that'd wear off soon enough. Then she mentioned Jade said we should have our wedding at Sterling Heights Estate instead of Lakewood Manor. I looked it up right there on my phone. Sterling Heights cost $21,000 just for the venue rental, just to stand in their building for 6 hours. We'd budgeted $9,500 total for our venue and already booked Lakewood Manor for $8,200, with a $3,500 deposit paid 4 months back. When I pointed this out, she hit me with it. Jade's fiancé surprised her with a $35,000 wedding upgrade. Just decided to do it because he wanted her to have everything. Jade's fiancé is a cardiac surgeon making $500,000 a year. You could be more ambitious, work harder, want more for us. I run electrical jobs. There's a ceiling unless I start my own company, which means 80-hour weeks and you're making excuses. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I closed the laptop. We'd locked our wedding budget at $29,400. Reasonable for our combined income when you factor in mortgage, car payments, student loans. We'd already put down deposits on everything. Venue was $8,200 with $3,500 down. Caterer, photographer, DJ, flowers, all booked. My suit was bought and tailored. Her dress was paid for by her parents. The honeymoon was the big one. $6,500 for 12 days in Greece, paid in full 8 months prior with travel insurance. Everything was reasonable. Everything was boring. Valerie's friends thought it was basic. That exact word showed up in one of her group chats I saw when she left her phone on the counter. Jade had typed, "Girl, your wedding sounds so basic, you deserve the Sterling Heights experience with the garden ceremony and the fountain and the vintage car." Amber's wedding cost $82,000 and featured a 12-piece band, a dessert tower, and custom-designed invitations that cost $40 each. When I mentioned Amber's parents owned a chain of car dealerships and had a net worth somewhere in the high 7 figures, she accused me of being negative about her friends. The comments kept coming. Every dinner turned into a comparison tournament. Jade's boyfriend took her to Barcelona for a long weekend on a whim. Just decided Friday afternoon they needed a European vacation. Amber's supplement guy did surprise skydiving trips and posted videos of her screaming while falling out of planes. Chloe's latest toxic situationship at least kept things spicy with midnight drives and spontaneous concerts, and so on. Then the hints got less subtle. One night she asked why we never did anything spontaneous. I reminded her we had a mortgage and a wedding to pay for. Another night she showed me Amber's Instagram story, some rooftop restaurant in the city with an expensive menu and a view. Asked why we never went places like that. I said because one dinner there cost more than our grocery budget for a month. She said I had no sense of adventure. I asked her directly what she wanted. She said she didn't know. Just something more. Something exciting. I asked her to define exciting. She couldn't. Just said she felt like we were settling into this boring routine, and she wasn't ready for that yet. We were 4 months from getting married, and she wasn't ready for routine. I kept coming home smelling like drywall dust and copper, kept grading circuit diagrams on Friday nights while Valerie went out with the girls. Kept being boring, kept being responsible. Then she started staying later at work. Team dinners, she said. Networking events. Building relationships because it mattered for career growth. She'd roll in at 11 p.m. smelling like restaurant food and talking about how supportive her friends were, how they really understood her vision for life. I started noticing changes. New clothes appeared in the closet, ones that looked different from her usual style. Expensive jeans, tops from boutiques I'd never heard of with price tags that made my eye twitch. She started wearing more makeup to work. Started using words she'd never used before. Manifestation, alignment, energy, living her truth. One night she came home and announced she was getting her nails done weekly now. $80 every Friday. I asked if that was really necessary. She said it was self-care and I wouldn't understand, and that I was being controlling about money. We'd never argued about money in 3 years. Now it was a weekly thing. She started ordering lunch from places that charged $18 for a salad. Stopped bringing leftovers. When I asked about it, she said everyone at work ate out, and she didn't want to be the one unpacking Tupperware in the break room. I pointed out that was nearly $4,000 a year in lunch money alone. She said I was being cheap. A week later, she came home with an $18 candle. Said it was eucalyptus something, and Jade had 3 of them. I asked what was wrong with the $10 candles from Target. She said I didn't understand quality. The candle sat on our coffee table unused for 2 months because she said it was too nice to burn. Her Instagram transformed. Suddenly, it was all group shots with Jade, Amber, and Chloe. Pictures of food arranged like art exhibits. Sunset photos with captions about growth and evolution and becoming her authentic self. Meanwhile, I was the one calling vendors, confirming headcounts, making sure deposits got paid on time. She'd check in once a week to approve whatever I'd already handled, then go back to her group chat with the girls. 2 months into her new job, I asked directly if she was happy. She said, of course, why would I ask? I said she seemed different lately. Distant. She said she was evolving as a person, growing into who she was meant to be. I said, okay. Growth was good. She asked if I had a problem with her growth. I said no, but I knew. I'd seen enough relationships implode in my crew to know what was coming. The question was when, not if. The conversation that killed everything happened on a Wednesday. I'd made burgers on the grill, just decent ground beef with cheese and the works. Valerie was on her phone the entire time, texting someone and smiling at the screen. I asked her to put it down. She said she was texting Chloe. I pointed out we were supposed to be eating together. She called me controlling. I put down my burger and asked what her problem was lately. She looked up from her phone. My friends think you're boring. Too nice, too safe, too predictable. Jade called you a placeholder. I paused. Interesting. And what do you think? She took a breath. They're not wrong. Something cold settled in my chest. Okay, so why are you marrying me? I don't know. Maybe I need to figure that out. That's when she said she wanted a break. Not a breakup. A break. Before the wedding. I need to experience something different, she said. Different how? Someone exciting. Someone with edge. A bad boy, just to see what it's like. Then I'll know for sure if you're right for me. I let that sit for a second. You want to date other guys 4 months before our wedding? Just one guy. And it's temporary. Who is he? There's no one specific yet. I just need to know what else is out there. And then what? You come back and we get married like nothing happened? Exactly. You get it. I didn't get it. But I got something else. I stared at her while she explained this plan. She wanted to date other people 4 months before our wedding. Just temporarily. Get it out of her system. I pointed out that Jade was giving relationship advice despite being engaged twice without making it down any aisle. Valerie said Jade knew what she wanted. I said being engaged twice meant she knew how to pick rings, not partners. Valerie said that I was too judgmental, that a bad boy wouldn't judge her. I mentioned a bad boy also wouldn't marry her. She said she just needed space. A few weeks, then we'd get married like planned. I sat there looking at this woman I'd been with for almost 4 years, who I'd proposed to, who I'd bought a house thinking about, set up joint accounts with, and felt nothing except that cold clarity. I said, okay, take your break, date your bad boy, date your... She looked relieved and confused at the same time. I told her she was right about me being too nice, said I needed to work on that. What does that mean? She asked. You'll figure it out. She left that night, went to stay with Jade. The next morning at 6 a.m., I started making calls. My buddy Nick came over that night with some pizza, asked if I was all right. I said I was great. He asked what I was going to do. I said whatever I wanted. He said that was the right answer. Asked if I needed help with anything. I told him, yeah, actually. Gonna need some boxes in your truck this weekend. He didn't ask questions, just said what time. The venue was first. Called Lakewood Manor at 9:03 a.m., right when they opened. Explained I needed to cancel my June 21st wedding. The events coordinator sounded genuinely sympathetic. She pulled up the contract and confirmed cancellations. More than 60 days out meant forfeiting the deposit, but no additional charges. We were 79 days out. Lost the $3,500 deposit, all my money, but didn't owe the remaining $4,700. Best money I ever spent. Caterer was next. Same policy. More than 60 days out, you lose the deposit but nothing else. Lost $825 of my money. $825 of Valerie's. Worth every cent. Photographer required a different approach. That was her parents' money. I called David, her dad, first. Told him straight what happened. Valerie asked for a break to date other guys before the wedding. Long silence. Then he asked me to repeat that because he must have misheard. I repeated it. Valerie wanted to date a bad boy to see if I was boring. He said that was the stupidest thing he'd ever heard. I agreed. He asked what I was doing. I said canceling everything. He said good. He'd handle the photographer. Don't worry about the deposit. He said I was a good man, and Valerie was making a massive mistake. Said he'd talk to her mother. DJ was already paid in full. $1,350 of my money. Contract said no refunds within 90 days. Couldn't get it back. Accepted the loss and moved on. Flowers were interesting. Order was under Valerie's name, but we'd split the deposit. I called and explained I needed to cancel. They said Valerie would need to authorize it. I asked if I could cancel my half and get my $450 back. The woman had never gotten that request before. Put me on hold for 8 minutes. When she came back, she said if I could prove I paid half, they'd refund my portion. I emailed a screenshot of the Venmo from March showing $450 with wedding flowers deposit in the memo. They refunded my half within a week. Valerie's $450 stayed on the order. When the wedding never happened, she forfeited it per their no-show policy. The honeymoon was the valuable one. $6,500, non-refundable through the travel agency. But I had that $450 insurance policy. Called the insurance company and filed a cancellation claim. Wedding called off qualified as covered. They needed documentation. I sent the venue cancellation confirmation. 4 days later, they approved it. 2 weeks later, I got a check for $5,950. Lost the $450 insurance and the $550 deductible, but saved $5,500 compared to losing the entire trip. I spent one Thursday morning making 6 calls. Total damage: lost $6,675 in deposits and fees. Recovered $6,400 through the flower refund and insurance payout. Net cost was $275. The price of self-respect. Total bargain. That afternoon, I had to call my mom and tell her the wedding was off. What happened? I gave her the short version. She was quiet for a minute. I'm sorry, but I'm not surprised. She changed since that new job. Yeah. Are you okay? I'm fine. Good. Don't take her back. I won't. Now came the fun part. Nick showed up Saturday morning at 8 a.m. with his truck and a stack of boxes from his warehouse job. I had coffee ready. He looked at me. You really doing this? Yeah. We started in the bedroom. Her clothes went into boxes. Took us 2 hours because she had too much stuff. I wasn't throwing anything away, just packing her life into cardboard boxes. 3 hours in, Nick found the receipt for the $180 candle in one of her nightstand drawers. Stared at it for a solid 10 seconds. She spent how much on a candle? You heard me. And didn't even burn it? Too nice to use, apparently. He shook his head and kept packing. Found the vitamin bottles next. Checked the label. What do these even do? No idea. Amber recommended them. Nick tossed them in the box. Your ex is an idiot. We moved to the living room. Her decorative pillows that I always hated, gone. Her art prints from Target that she said were sophisticated, boxed up. That fancy throw blanket, packed. The coffee table books about design and architecture that she never actually read, stacked in a box. Found the ring box in her nightstand drawer. The engagement ring I'd saved for 8 months to buy. She'd taken it off before going to stay with Jade. Left it in the drawer like it meant nothing. I put it in my toolbox in the garage. I'd deal with that later. By noon, we had the living room cleared. By 2 p.m., the bedroom looked like I lived alone. By 3 p.m., we were done. 16 boxes total, all labeled, all photographed for documentation. Nick looked at the stack of boxes and started laughing. Asked if I felt better. I said, yeah, actually. House felt lighter already. Valerie texted after a week. Asked how I was. I said, fine. I'm seeing a guy, Tyler. He is a biker. Cool, I replied. Are you mad? Why would I be mad? I mean, you're being really mature about this. Of course. She had no idea I'd canceled everything. I didn't tell her. Let her figure it out herself. Her Instagram became a Tyler highlight reel. Every other story was motorcycle content, dive bar content, Tyler's deep thoughts content. He looked exactly like every bad decision girls make in their mid-20s, except Valerie was 27 and should have known better. Monday, she posted them at some bar with a dartboard and neon signs. Caption, finally living. Tuesday was Tyler's motorcycle parked outside some tattoo shop. Wednesday, she posted a quote about how nice guys finish last. Thursday was a selfie of them together, his arm around her, her smiling like she'd figured something out. Friday was a photo of his hand on her leg while he drove. Sunday was a photo of them at brunch with the caption, "This is what choosing yourself looks like." I checked Tyler's Instagram once out of curiosity. His bio said, "Live free or die trying," with a skull emoji. His feed was all motorcycle shots, gym mirror selfies, and reposts of quotes about wolves and sheep. One post was him holding a philosophy book he definitely hadn't read. Comments were all from other guys like him saying, "Real talk, bro," and "Sigma mindset." Valerie had liked every single post going back 3 weeks. I watched it all from my couch while I worked on grading electrical diagrams for a certification course I was taking. Every notification, every post, every story. Not because it bothered me, because it was entertaining watching someone have a midlife crisis in their late 20s. I spent my time fixing things around the house. Replaced all the outlets in the kitchen with new ones that had USB ports built in. Finished the bathroom tile I'd been putting off for 6 months. Had to redo 3 sections because I messed up the spacing the first time, but by Sunday it looked professional. Reorganized the garage now that it had space. Found my old baseball glove and a box of books I'd meant to read. Played video games. Ate whatever I wanted. Watched action movies without someone asking if we could watch something with subtitles and emotional depth. Went to the gym with Nick 4 times that week. Nick came over most nights. We'd work on house projects, order food, watch whatever. He never asked if I was okay. Just showed up with tools or takeout or both. That's real friendship. One night he asked if I'd heard from Valerie. I showed him her Instagram. Tyler looking like a walking cigarette commercial. Valerie looking like she was trying too hard to seem happy. Wow, she looks desperate. Week 3 she posted, "Sometimes chaos is necessary for growth." Week 4 was, "I'm done settling." Week 5 she deleted both posts and posted a photo of Tyler's apartment with the caption, "Home is wherever you make it." His apartment looked like it hadn't been cleaned since 2019. I could see empty takeout containers on the counter in the background of her carefully framed shot. Week 6, she texted saying she was ready to come home. "Okay," I said. "That's it? What else do you want? Maybe that you missed me. Did you miss me while you were on Tyler's motorcycle? That's not fair. You gave me space. You asked for it." She said we needed to talk about the wedding. It was getting close. Asked if I'd been handling the details. I said I'd handled everything. I knew I could count on you. I'll be home tomorrow. Love you. She showed up the next day with 2 bags. Moved back in like nothing happened. "Where's my stuff?" she said, looking at the empty closet. "Garage, in boxes." "Why?" "You took a break. I packed your stuff." She stared at me. "Are you freaking kidding me right now? Your friends can pick it up whenever." She went to check the garage. Came back looking confused. "You packed everything?" "Everything." She tried to act like it didn't bother her. Started unpacking the 2 bags she'd brought. Then she told me Tyler was too unpredictable. Said she realized what we had was special. That I was dependable and stable and kind. I pointed out she'd called me boring. She said I wasn't boring. I was mature. I asked what changed. She said she got it out of her system. Jade was right. She needed that experience. Now she knew I was the one. "Interesting. So, are we good now?" she asked. "No." "What do you mean, no?" "As you heard." "Fine. We will talk about this tomorrow. I don't care if you packed my stuff. I will unpack them later. You're just mad right now. We'll see about that." She tried settling back in like nothing happened. Made dinner that night. Acted like we were picking up where we left off. Talked about her day at work. About some client who was rude. About how Tyler turned out to be a mistake. But at least she learned something. I ate my dinner and said nothing. That night, she slept on the couch. The next morning, she asked if we should start planning the final wedding details. Needed to finalize the seating chart, confirm the menu choices, figure out the timeline for the day. I told her she should call the venue first. "Okay, I'll do it at lunch." "Good idea." Few minutes later, I headed to work. I was at a job site running conduit through a commercial kitchen when my phone started blowing up. 1 call, 2 calls, 3 calls, 4. Then a text. "Call me now." I stepped outside into the parking lot. Called back. Her voice came through so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "They said we canceled the wedding." "Yeah, I canceled it over 2 months ago. April 3rd. Day after you asked for a break." "Why would you do that? You said I was boring." "This isn't funny." "I'm not joking. The wedding is in 11 days. Was, venue, caterer, flowers, honeymoon, all of it." Silence. Then, "Even the honeymoon? Especially the honeymoon? I can't believe you. You asked for a break to date another guy. I figured we were done." "I didn't say we were done. You wanted to explore other options. I gave you the freedom to do that permanently." She said I was insane. I said I was bad now. Congratulations, she got what she wanted. She said people were flying in. Her aunt was coming from Oregon. I suggested she should probably call them. What am I supposed to say? Tell them the truth. You dumped your fiancé to ride on some loser's motorcycle. They'd understand. She hung up. Called back 5 minutes later crying. Asked if we could fix this. She said the wedding, could we rebook? I said sure, she was welcome to try. She said she didn't have money for new deposits. I said that sounded like a her problem. She'd taken the break, not me. What am I supposed to do? I don't know, maybe Tyler has ideas. But I told you he was a mistake. He wants nothing to do with me. He's a jerk. Well then you're single. I hate you. Good. She hung up. Again. Her friends started texting within the hour. You're a sociopath. You're toxic and abusive. Valerie is devastated, I replied. She looked pretty happy on Tyler's motorcycle last month. Jade sent 3 more messages after that. Long paragraphs about emotional manipulation and how I'd financially trapped Valerie and destroyed her dreams. I ignored them. Chloe called me twice from a blocked number. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail about karmic justice and the universe punishing toxic men. Saved it in case I needed a laugh later. Valerie's parents called that evening. David said they heard. He said Valerie made a catastrophically stupid decision, and I did exactly the right thing. Said they felt terrible about the photographer deposit. I told him don't worry about it. He said for what it's worth, They always liked me more than they liked Valerie's choices. Said she'd been making progressively worse decisions since she started that new job. I appreciated the honesty. Nick called me that night laughing. Said he heard through mutual friends that Valerie was having a complete meltdown. Good. Do you feel bad? Not even a little. Good. Now you're officially cold-blooded. He told me she'd called at least 10 people trying to figure out if she could rebook everything. The venue was booked solid for the next year. Every caterer she called was either booked or quoted her prices triple what we'd originally paid because it was last minute. The photographer her parents had booked was already committed to 3 other weddings that month. She's losing it, Nick said. Apparently she called her mom crying for 2 hours. Her mom probably told her she's an idiot. Basically, I heard her dad already called the photographer and got their deposit back, told them his daughter made a catastrophically bad decision. I appreciated David's honesty. During that time, she was still trying with Tyler. 2 days later, Tyler officially bailed on her. Nick heard it from someone who knew Chloe's cousin. Tyler decided the drama was too much, told Valerie she was too intense and needed to figure her life out. The exact text, according to Nick's source, was, "This is too much crazy for me." Valerie proceeded to have an even bigger meltdown. Nick's girlfriend had access to Jade's private Instagram stories through some friend connection. She showed Nick screenshots. Valerie crying in Jade's apartment, drafting and deleting texts to Tyler, showing up at Tyler's place unannounced, calling him 17 times in one night. Full unhinged behavior. Tyler blocked her on everything and told his friends she was psycho. The bad boy romance lasted exactly 6 weeks before imploding spectacularly. Jade, Amber, and Chloe rallied around Valerie, posted supportive messages about toxic men and how women needed to support women. Jade posted a story about manipulation and narcissistic behavior with zero self-awareness. Amber shared quotes about healing from trauma. Chloe went on a rant about how men were trash and women deserved better. They were backing her up completely, validating every delusion, confirming that I was the villain in this story, that Tyler was the villain, that men in general were the problem. Zero accountability anywhere in sight. Valerie moved out 5 days later, back to Jade's place, posted on Instagram about how sometimes the people you trust most stab you in the back. Her friends commented about how strong she was and how she deserved better and how karma was coming for me. I posted a photo of my newly finished bathroom tile. Caption was, "Finished what I started. Feels good." My crew commented about the grout work and being proud of me. Week later, Valerie texted asking for her half of the caterer deposit back, $825. I said sure, but I wanted my half of the TV. We'd bought it together for $1,400. I wanted my $700 back. Net, she owed me $125. That's ridiculous. Asking for money after cheating is ridiculous. She said we were on a break. I called it the Ross Geller defense. Classic move. She said this was real life. I said exactly. And she was acting entitled. She never mentioned money again. Month later, Nick told me Valerie and Jade had a falling out. Something about Jade encouraging the whole Tyler situation, and Valerie finally realizing her friends were toxic. Apparently, Valerie accused Jade of ruining her life with bad advice. Jade responded that Valerie made her own choices and needed to take accountability. The friendship imploded over text in about 45 minutes. Amber sided with Jade. Chloe tried to stay neutral and ended up getting cut off by both of them. The whole friend group collapsed like a house of cards. 2 months later, I heard Valerie was dating someone new. An accountant. Boring. Stable. Safe. Made $63,000 a year and drove a Corolla. Apparently, the lesson landed. I found out through a mutual friend who ran into Valerie at a coffee shop. She'd apparently spent 20 minutes explaining how she'd learned so much about herself and grown as a person and was finally ready for something real and stable. The mutual friend said she looked exhausted, like she'd been through something that aged her 5 years and 6 months. 4 months later, she texted an apology. For what? I asked. For everything. For listening to her friends. For asking for the break. For taking me for granted. I said, okay. She asked if we could try again. I said no. Why not? It's over, Valerie. I moved on. You should try that too sometimes. But people make mistakes. I made a mistake. Yes. People make mistakes and face consequences. Now face yours. Are you really not going to forgive me? You're being vindictive and cruel. I forgive you, but that doesn't mean I'm taking you back. You're harsh. You used to be nicer. You told me I was too nice, so I changed. I didn't mean it like that. I don't care. She stopped texting after that. 6 months post-cancellation, I met someone. Her name's Lauren. She's a paramedic making $48,000 a year, Drives a beat-up Jeep Wrangler with mismatched fenders she keeps meaning to paint. She thinks my truck is nice. We went to dinner, split the check. She didn't take any photos for social media. Didn't mention bad boys, or excitement, or needing space. We talked about books and weird emergency room stories. She was reading Stephen King. I was reading Lee Child. We argued about whether Jack Reacher could survive a zombie apocalypse. Best date I'd had in years. Third date, I told her about Valerie. You canceled your wedding without telling her? That's savage. Strategically assertive. She laughed. Do you regret it? Not once. She sounds delusional. She is. We've been together 9 months now. No drama, no breaks. Just two regular people who think paying bills on time is attractive, and having your life together is a turn-on. We meal prep on Sundays. We have a shared calendar. We're exactly the kind of couple Valerie's friends would mock. Lauren's never asked me to be more spontaneous or exciting. Never compared me to anyone else's boyfriend. Never suggested I should be more ambitious or make more money. She likes that I'm an electrician who shows up on time and fixes things that are broken. She likes that I remember to take out the trash and mow the lawn on schedule. One night she said she appreciated how straightforward I was. Said her ex was the opposite. All charm and excitement and spontaneity. Also all unreliability and broken promises and excuses. She'd take boring over that any day. Everything was good. I was finally done with the Valerie shit show. Well, almost. Last Friday night, Nick and I were at a bar downtown celebrating his promotion. Sports bar type place, decent wings, good food. We were at a booth near the back watching the game when he nudged me and nodded toward the entrance. Valerie walked in with her friends and some guy. The guy was maybe 40, wearing a blazer that didn't fit right and had a soul patch. Looked like he peaked in 2003. No way, Nick said. Yeah, way, I replied. They got a table on the other side. I went back to watching the game. 10 minutes later, she walked past our booth, heading to the bathroom. Stopped when she saw me. Hey, she said. Hey. Awkward silence for about 3 seconds. She glanced back at her table. I'm here with Derek. We've been seeing each other. Cool. Good for you. Yeah. Pause. You look good. Thanks. She stood there another second like she wanted to say something else. Didn't. Just muttered anyway and walked off. Nick waited until she was out of earshot. That was uncomfortable. Yep. She wanted you to react. Not my problem anymore. I saw her leave about 20 minutes later. Derek with the soul patch trailing behind her. Her friends giving me looks on the way out. I didn't acknowledge any of it. Just watched the game. That Derek guy looked like he was about to run, Nick said. Smart move on his part. Nick finished his food. You know what's wild? She could have had all this. The house, the stable life, the boring weekends. Instead, she's got Derek with a soul patch and a falling out with all her friends. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, I said. We stayed until the game ended. Ordered another round of wings. Talked about work, about his promotion, about the new certification I was working on. I drove home to my house. Lauren texted asking if I wanted to come over tomorrow and help her fix her Jeep's alignment. I said sure. Great. I'll bring tools. Always do. That's pretty much it. I go to work, run electrical jobs, come home to a house that's paid down a little more each month. Lauren and I watch movies on Fridays. I help Nick with projects on weekends. We meal prep on Sundays. It's boring, predictable, quiet. She didn't want that life. Turns out I do. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.